Hi you guys, my name is Oshun the Great, and welcome to my beautiful channel. So today I kind of wanted to touch on dealing with controlling parents. Now this is something that I myself have gone through and on being an outsider looking into a lot of situations, I still see it happening a lot today with people my age and just people in general. I noticed that when we grow up, we rely a lot on our families. And that's understandable. We have to depend on these people from when we're small and we can't fend for ourselves. But a lot of parents have this misconception that because they conceived you, they have like direct authority or rule over your whole life. And a lot of parents have this misconception that they can mold their child to be this person that they have in mind. And I think we need to get out of that guys, I'm losing my train of thought. I think we need to get out of that unhealthy way of thinking, because I feel like we need to understand, just because we bear a child, their life isn't old to us. So it isn't our job to put our own fears, failures, and perceptions onto that child. Like, their life is their own. Just as we have our own journey, that child have their own journey. You were just the vessel to conceive that child and bring them into the world. And true love to me is unconditionally loving someone and allowing them to be free. So not trying to chain them. Obviously, not everyone's parents have this bad intent behind doing this. They actually feel like they're helping their child. But in all reality, you're hurting your child from living and learning and growing on their. This is just my opinion, it's not set in stone, is allowing your child to be free, not protecting them so much that they make mistakes, because that's how we learn and grow as human beings. We learn and grow by making mistakes and learning from that and becoming stronger. So with that being said, I don't think parents that are like this understand they do more damage than good. And with that being said, if you are affected by this type of parenting, you could be feeling very trapped, very insecure about your own abilities, feeling like you're just never free, feeling like you always have to please your mom, please your dad, please your family, your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever the fuck. But mostly our parents do have dictate a lot of what our lives pan out to be. And sometimes it's just not what we even want our life to be. But as long as we don't want to see our parents angry or upset with us, and really that's not our problem, that's not our issue. It's their life is for them to figure out how to make themselves happy, and our life is our own to make us happy. And at the end of the day, you have to be satisfied with the choices you make in life. Even if your choices are unconscious and you're just handing it away, that's still a choice. And yes, you may go to school or become a doctor and get rich, or so, whatever the case may be, own a business because of your parents. But if it's not fulfilling, chances are you could be just listening to them too much, trying to be a people pleaser and get approval from them. So with that being said, I used to have a very controlling mother who cared a lot about how the outside world looked. So she wanted her kids to be molded into these pristine kids who talked well, spoke well, presented themselves well, had all the best education, which I agree with the education part. There's nothing bad with all that stuff. But it's just a matter of the control aspect. It's like I had no freedom to move or breathe. And that causes a lot of rebellion stages for a lot of people. Rebellion is just like lashing out at authority, and that's really healthy because you have to learn how to become your own person. The problem is, even if some people have rebellion stages, they don't always completely unlatch from their parents. They always go back, and I used to be like that too. In some cases, your controlling situation may not even be healthy at all. So it might even be more toxic than, oh, your parents just want best for you. It could be an abusive situation that you're dependent on. And these are so many levels to this situation. Now, with that being said, if you're affected by this and you don't want to be affected by this anymore, or maybe you were just consciously unaware that you were in this kind of situation, I am going to offer you a few things that you can do to kind of deal with controlling parents. Now, no one's saying that you completely have to cut off your parents. Obviously, a lot of people love their family. And I understand that a lot of people don't come from the background I have, where I was in a really toxic situation where I had to deal with incest, rape, and all this other shit, and the controlling mother, and abuse in many different spectrums. In that case, just get the fuck away and don't even, just cut off all contact and don't come back. Even if you're dependent on them for money, survival, and all that, you can always find a healthier situation. Just get the fuck out of the situation. Now, if it's just a normal situation where you're just like finding yourself dependent on your parent for your happiness, for emotional support, you're just scared to be out on your own, it's really about finding independence and enjoying that independence. Because I believe that being like the part of being fulfilled in your life is learning how to enjoy your own yourself, getting to know yourself and what you want and what you don't like. Whether that's taking traveling, school, whether it's dating who you want to date, trying things in your sexuality, you have to be free in every aspect of your life in order to know who you are. And you can only do that when you stop listening to other people, aka your parents. Because they will always have this ideal of different routes that you can take to be successful. But that doesn't mean that that's the right only way. You get to choose what's best for you, and you only know what's best. And you only can hear that is if you listen to your inner self, and obviously meditation is a good way to do that. And always asking yourself, am I doing what I want today? Not what everyone else is telling me. Am I making myself happy? If I were to die today, am I fulfilled with the choices that I made? And honestly, a life of freedom and making your own choices is better than anything in the world, because even if you do mess up or make mistakes, these are still your choices that you made. And honestly, I don't want to die one day thinking that, oh, my whole life was spent pleasing my parents. And a lot of people, they might be okay with this situation, then you don't need this video. But if you're not okay with that situation, then by all means, try to find some independence. And sometimes that just means, obviously, if you live with your parents still and you're like 25 or, you know, and like, just try to, like, once you become an adult in adulthood, try to find your own independence in something. So maybe it's in your choices. Maybe it's in moving out into your own place. Maybe it's even getting a roommate situation. It doesn't always have to be like you're struggling to be adulting and shit either. But it's like, try to find your independence. And independence for me was making my own choices. And like, for the longest, people were telling me that I needed to be stable when I wanted to wander and work in a hostel. And those were one of my biggest dreams that I wanted to complete. And I did it one day just after not giving thought. So you can't fulfill your own dreams and your own needs if you're always constantly worried about what people would think, worried if they will accept you or whatever. Like, that shit will come later. First, you please yourself and you love yourself and put yourself first enough, care what you think first, like enough to actually enjoy your life exactly the way you want it. So independence is very important. It's not to say that you have to be independent and not date anyone or be with someone. It just has to be something that's either working your own job can give a lot of people independence, the feeling of independence, earning your own money, being able to just go out and get what you want and not have to rely on anyone, your parents, obviously. Choosing things that you want to do, not because they might think you could play tennis, but you might want to do basketball, simple stuff like that. And if you're younger, this may really affect you because your parents feel like you're not a human being because of your age, and people don't understand that ageism still exists. So in this case, I would suggest that you really just talk openly to your parents and say, hey, like, when you do XYZ, this is how this makes me feel. And I need distance in this way. And a lot of times when I was an introvert and no one knew what introversion was when I was younger, I was always forced to be extroverted, for example. But the more we are educated on ourselves and who we are, just situations like that, you can go to your parents and be like, look, I'm this way. I advise you to look it up. I need space. I need time. I need distance. And in anything, even if you want to tell them like, look, I value your opinion and all of this, but I need to figure out what's good for me. And honestly, it might not work in every situation, but honestly, if you approach it in like a respectful manner, it's all you owe it to yourself to try. And even when they do tell, like, even when you're still in high school or whatever, you can still try to do things for yourself. Like if you want to do the dance team, like your parents don't necessarily sounds so bad. They don't necessarily have to know, but like you can be like, yeah, I'm doing chess, mom. And then like just do it. Like you need something to call your own, and everyone needs that. And so as long as you're not owing your whole life to your parents, that's the whole point I am trying to make. And sometimes we do need to detach from our family because we become so comfortable in that family unit. It has made us not able to survive in the real world. And sometimes this affects our relationships. Like mama's boys, like kids who are attached to their parents, a lot of their relationships don't work out because either their mother is dictating their life, and like a girl doesn't want that, and honestly the mother is taking him off the radar to find a wife or a date or whatever. So it's like you don't understand. Some people don't understand how this really affects their children, and their true sense of happiness. Like, and I feel like any parent would want their child to be happy. So to try to take something like that experience that's supposed to be so natural away from them is very damaging and limiting to their growth. Cause yeah, but yeah, that's my little thoughts on like dealing with controlling parents. It's honestly, for me, how I did it was about distance, finding my own independence, and making my own choices. And honestly, the guilt, you have to get rid of the guilt because this is your life at the end of the day. That's all that matters. And like, they will get over it. If they don't, I mean, it's still your life. And you don't owe anybody shit. You didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask, any of that. And you're your own soul. You came here with a purpose. And you owe it to yourself to live it out. And some people live that shit out late as hell because they have such an issue parting from their parents or dysfunctional families. But yeah, you want to start living your authentic life today and being able to express yourself in your look and your voice, not filtering yourself, not worrying about what your parents are going to think or anyone else is going to think. And this can be one of the most toxic ways that limits and stunts our growth. But yeah, with that being said, I hope this was like